All right, let's talk about the Kansas City Chiefs here for a little bit. The back-to-back defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs, as we are legally required to say until that is no longer true. Obviously, like the rest of the National Football League, the Chiefs are wrapping up their first week of OTAs. It's an exciting time of the year. You get to see the rookies and the young guys mix it up with the veterans for the first time. First glimpse about what the Chiefs are going to look like for the 2024 campaign. Obviously, a lot of new pieces, a lot of exciting rookies to see if they can get off to the right start here. And there's one guy in particular that's doing just that, despite having some shortcomings early, and that is wide receiver Xavier Worthy. Let's get into the article, then we'll talk about it on the other side. All right, this is according to NBC Sports. Worthy is dealing with a hamstring issue and was sidelined for Wednesday's OTA practice, but Mahomes has still gotten a positive early impression of the young receiver. I think you can tell how intelligent he is. He is asking the right questions. It's really important, Mahomes said. Before he had the hamstring thing, he was getting in, he was getting the work in. Sometimes it's tough with these guys coming off combine training and they want to prove what they can do from day one, and little injuries like that happen. We're going to be precautionary right now. He could probably get out there if we really wanted him to, but you can see he's sitting right beside the guys asking all the right questions, and whenever he does get back on the field, I'm excited to get to work with them. All right, again, this time of the year, it's all about laying the foundation, and the most important part for these rookies is to understand the offense. It sounds simple, but it's really important. Obviously, Worthy, despite his injury, is still working hard to understand the offense. I think that's a great sign for Kansas City. Miles, I'm curious what your thoughts are, but first, Chiefs fans, in the comment section below, outside of Xavier Worthy, what other Chiefs draft pick do you think will have a big impact this season? There's a lot of options to choose from, but we're going to make you pick one. Put them in the comment section below. Non-Xavier Worthy draft pick who you think is going to have a big impact this year. But Miles, what do you think of this report involving Worthy and just everything going on with Kansas City right now?
Yeah, Nick, I think it's great because people have been talking about it. It's OTAs, and people are chiming in. Well, we saw Xavier Worthy do this, do that, and, he didn't impress so far. He didn't do this yet so far. Well, that's all well and good, but this is OTAs. Like you kind of said, he's been banged up. He hasn't been 100%. He gets sidelined. People are wondering about it. I think people worry way too much. It's OTAs are going to be super careful with a guy. They're going to take super good care of him because he's a first-round draft pick. He's an important part of this team, as Patrick Mahomes said. He said in another article, actually, that he really likes to see, he calls him X-Man, running. He says how fast he is, seeing how much they can add. He says really cool to finally have weapons on the offense. Just going around talking about all these things, I think people are reading too much into what Xavier Worthy has done or isn't doing at OTAs. This is a guy, in 3 years at Texas, never missed a game. He doesn't have injury problems, no injury concerns. This is a guy who I think is going to add a ton to this offense, and Patrick Mahomes knows that as well. They're just being very careful with him, and I think, despite the negative things people break up, we've seen a lot of positives out of a guy like Worthy, who's, by the way, learning a completely different offense, getting, rhythm with Patrick Mahomes, trying to learn how things are going along. So I think this is a guy who's doing exactly what he needs to be. When he's out on the field, he's learning, he's messing up, which means he's learning, he's growing, he's trying to figure out what's going on. And then when he's not on the field, he's on the sidelines with these guys, asking questions, gaining knowledge, doing everything he could possibly do to get better every single day despite the situation that he is in. So I think this offense, with all the new weapons, you talk about Hollywood Brown, Xavier Worthy, the tight end Wiley, I think they're going to have a major impact on this team this season. I think we're going to see a completely different Kansas City offense this year.
Oh, for sure, especially considering the situation with Rashee Rice and that situation, whatever suspension ends up coming, I'm sure there'll be something from the National Football League. So the Chiefs are going to need something from Worthy very early on, most likely week one. And in order for Worthy to do that, he's going to understand the offense. And we talk about it all the time, but this time of year with the OTAs and all the highlight film you see on social media, it seems like every time one rookie quarterback has a bad day, he's a bust, he stinks. Or a receiver catches a pass in practice, suddenly it's like, oh, he's the next Justin Jefferson or something like that. The reality is, I always like to say, don't focus so much on what happens on the field. focus on the foundation, see what's being laid, see what the practices and procedures, the systems that are being put in place. And I really like what Xavier Worthy is doing here in terms of checking his ego at the door. Remember, he was an expert in the Texas Longhorns offense. He now goes to a new scheme. He's able to check his ego, be humble himself, and ask nothing but dumb questions. Allow him to be the dummy as he tries to learn the offense. I know it sounds really weird. You think everybody would do this, but it was like this way in college with me too. It's like this in the NFL in a lot of cases. You get these star players, they come into these environments and they're afraid to look like the dummy. They're afraid to look like they don't know what they're doing, but everyone knows they don't because they've been a pro football player for about a second and a half, right? So at this point, the best thing for a young player to do is to ask dumb questions, learn, get smarter, lay the foundation in place so that way when